Hey everyone. So recently I just made a new I just made a new subscription to a different part of Ancestry. So I basically got back in and I'm now messing around with my family tree again. I'm able to look at records and documents. And other than my father's side, which has stayed the same, there has been, you know, new people popping up on my mother's side. And one thing that I was worried about or that I was confused about was the fact that, I knew, that there was white in my family on my mother's side, but I did not know how close the blood was. So when I had found my mother's parents, which were Wayne Braziel and Brenda Joyce, Wayne Braziel and Dorothy Mae Daughtry, I was there, but then when I had looked up who Dorothy Mae Daughtry was, I was kind of astonished because it said that her race was white. And I wasn't sure if the white blood was that close. So I did not do anything with her at the moment. I know that's her parents, even in the files. It is Dorothy Mae Phillips or Dorothy, whatever. But I was not sure who this was. So I was telling myself basically, with my mother's mother was not white. She couldn't have been. The white blood was not that close. But I do believe my mother was biracial. She was, I'm not going to say she was 50-50. She might have been maybe 30 or 40 something percent European and the rest African, because her father was African, Wayne Braziel. But from what I heard from my cousin, my third cousin who's biracial, is we do have white in our family, along with a mixture of Native American and that goes all the way down to actually Mexico, because there's a people in Mexico that we originate from, along with the Spanish that my family originates from, and we are part of those people, which is funny because going back to me having blood Mexican cousins, all the way in Mexico, it's really interesting. It's a really interesting story. I remember her telling me it last night, explaining all this to me, and it was just really amazing. And my mother's parents were full white. They were Benjamin H. Daughtry and Ollie M. Lee. Now, there is another document that speaks about M. Phillips, because my mother's name was Dorothy Mae Phillips. So I'm probably gonna accept the document with the Phillips because I feel like that's more accurate. But both say white. Like, I was looking through them and I was looking at the Daughtry and I was looking at the Phillips, and both say the race was white. There was no document saying anything that my mother's mother was black in any type of way. Not Negro, not black, nothing but white. And as I was thinking, I was like, well, I'm 19% European, almost 20%. And that means my mother had to at least be 35 to 40%. My mother's mother had to at least be 60 or I don't know, 75% European, maybe the rest Native American or whatever, maybe with a little bit of African in her. But I highly doubt there was African in my mother's mother. But I definitely know my mother's mother was full white. not full white, but she was majority white with some native ancestry. Then when you go down, more down, I'm pretty sure they still become majority white, but Native American gets higher, because I definitely do know that we do originate from people in Mexico. And I have Native American ancestry. So does my biracial cousin, and everybody else. I'm happy that I can start this, at least some for more of her tree. I would like to find more on Wayne Brazil, because that's her father and he's African, and I'd like to find more on his tree. But my mother's side just had me really in a daze, because I could not figure out why the white blood was so close. And I could not, I mean, I knew I was European, but I didn't know it was really that close of a relationship. But it does make sense. It does, because if my mom was about 40%, 44%, or 35% European, me getting 20 or 19% European makes sense. Especially if she mixed with an African man, then that does make sense. So it dilutes the European blood more. But I didn't know your European ancestors were so close. And on my father's side, the European ancestors have not popped up yet. No European ancestors have popped up yet. Nothing has shown for them yet. But literally, I go from my mother's parents, like after I get done with my mother, literally European blood just pops up immediately. So it's just, to me, very interesting. And it was surprising. It was surprising. But I definitely called my cousin last night to make sure that I was not crazy, or that I was making sure I had the right documents, because in all honesty, there were no other documents. There were no other documents stating that she was Negro, nothing black, nothing. It was white. And we were slaves, from what I hear. We were also slaves. So, I mean, but we must have been really slaves if my mother's mother was white, I don't even know, because that must not have been slaves. I think we were free people. I think, because from what I hear, even on my father's side, I think some of my family were free people. So it's a whole bunch of stuff right now. It's everywhere, and I can't get everything together right now. But I do know that my mother's mother was white, and my mother's mother's was white. Not just white, but they had Native American in them as well, coming from Spain and Mexico, and just, it's a whole story. And it's really interesting, because I never doubted my mother was European. I knew she had a good amount in her, but I didn't know her mother was white. I thought her mother would have been at least half and half, and just like her father was majority African. So it was just interesting. It was really interesting. But yeah, white ancestors have popped up in my tree. Sorry, it's my computer. White ancestors have popped up in my tree, and it comes from my mom's side. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to continue to see what I can do with this. Alright guys, you guys have a good day.